the approach I take with death now is that I think we all have time to be on earth. Our lives are predestined. We have a contract. We have a contract to fulfill. We have a certain amount of time that we are meant to be here. I just think that I approach life and everything differently. You got to really live out loud. You got to really be an example. What do you want your legacy to be? And I hope that I'm known for being a great mother. I hope I'm known for having great style. I got a smart mouth. I'm snarky. I'm not perfect. But I hope that people at the end of the day will say that's a good person.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Justice and Power Podcast. I'm your host, Nikema Levy-Armstrong, and I'm excited to be with you today. I am thrilled to bring forward our next amazing special guest, Tameka Foster Raymond, mother of 5, entrepreneur, stylist, fashion designer, you name it. Tameka is going to join us today and share with us some insights and tips on how she manages to keep it all together as a mother of 5. Yes, you heard right, 5 boys. She considers herself a boy mom, a diva, a fashionista. I don't know how she does it, but I'm looking forward to finding out. Please join me in welcoming Tameka Foster Raymond. How are you doing, Tameka?
Thank you. I'm doing well, really good.
Well, you look amazing. And it's just
Appreciate
a blessing to have you with us today. I've read many articles about you and your journey over the years. I know you have a memoir as well. So let's get into some things. Now, you've been a fashion designer and a stylist for a very long time. Tell us how you fell into a love of fashion and then transition that love of fashion into styling many of those who are considered A-list entertainers, such as Jay-Z, Ciara, Nas, and your ex-husband, Usher Raymond.
I got into fashion when I was about 6, believe it or not. I loved Barbies and paper dolls. I used to do these paper dolls all the time. And even if they didn't have what I wanted on, I would color it in and draw in earrings and stuff to make it kind of my own. But my aunt in Oakland, I'm from Oakland, California, and my aunt owned a store. It was a consignment shop, all high-end clothing. And she would select the clothes as people would bring them in. And she taught me a lot about fabrics and kind of like, you feel this isn't real silk, or this is alpaca wool. So I started to learn about fashion at a very, very early age, and I fell in love with it. From there, when I got old enough, I moved from Oakland to Los Angeles after many things happened in my life. And I went to the Fashion Institute, FIDM. And at FIDM, I was a merchandise marketing major. I wanted to become a buyer. And I wanted to do like window dressing and set design and things like that. But it ended up turning out that someone hired me to style a music video for them. And kind of the rest is history. Word of mouth. I got more and more clients, and here I am.
Now, didn't you style someone in the video while you were still a student? Or was this after you graduated?
Yeah, I was still a student when I styled a group called Subway in 702. It was a song called This Little Game We Play. They were doing a music video. And my friend, Todd Russo, who was working for Biv 10 Records at the time, that's Michael Bivins of New Editions Group. He had his own record label imprint at Motown. And I was the stylist that they hired to do their first acts.
That's absolutely incredible. Now, how did you do this without feeling intimidated?
Oh, I was nervous.
Right. I would be scared. I'm just being honest with you. How did you get past the nervousness and make this happen?
You know how they say, do it scared? I did it scared. I didn't even know how to shop for the clothes. Now we know to go do it on a consignment, and we know that we can take things out for a certain amount of days, and we do returns and we pay restocking fees. I was just literally like using my little rent check and just buying all the clothes from like stores that had good return policies. I had no idea how to style back then, but I had an eye.
That is incredible. I can still see your eye, like looking at what you even have on today, and then the vibrancy behind you in the background. I mean,
Thank
just
you.
beautiful, beautiful. You'll brighten up anyone's screen.
I
It's by
appreciate.
how you put things together. I absolutely love it. And I love your courage, right?
Thank.
And you're reminding people you don't have to have it all figured out to get started.
Uh-uh.
When opportunities come your way, don't let fear, don't let a lack of experience stop you from moving towards your goals and your dreams.
Experience is the best teacher, trial and error. Those are your best, because if you mess up even the first time, anything, that's with anything in life, you kind of can learn from those mistakes and how to do it better the next time.
Mhm.
Yep.
That's definitely something I'll take with me. Don't be scared. Remember that Tameka
Air.
can do it, I can do it. Now, I don't know if I'm going to try to style people. However,
But
in other areas of life where opportunities are presented, a lot of times, if I have not done it before, I will, freeze up or feel like I can't do it. So this is really a great reminder to those who might be considering dipping their toe in the water. Learn what you need to learn and then move forward. You never know what other doors are going to open because you took that leap of faith.
I'll tell
So
you
that's
what,
uh-huh.
something. I have been a stylist for, like 25 years now, like fashion stylist. I designed my own collection and everything, but I'm doing something scared. I just got hired as a costume designer. My first costume design job for a film has a lot
Wow.
as well. So I'm a little, nervous, but I'm going to do it scared. It's going to
Mm.
be fun, be wonderful. Yeah.
Now, are you in that process? Are you, first of all, congratulations.
Thank
That
you.
is exciting
Thank
to
you.
take a leap of faith and go in a new direction and learning costume designing. Now, does your process involve picking up the phone and reaching out to other costume designers who have experience in that area? Or are you just going to move forward based on what you already know how to do?
I would say it's a mixture of both, because I'm asking in terms of, what staff members I should have on my team and things like that. But as far as how I'm going to do my process, I'm going to use a lot of my instincts. Although I have not done a film, and I know that music videos and stuff and commercials are much different, but I've done huge productions in terms of budget, and I've done huge amounts of cast. Like I did the doo-wop. You remember Lauryn Hill's doo-wop
Oh,
video?
absolutely.
He had hundreds. We had like 200 extras, in the scenes where like she's dancing. It was two different time zones. And I've done productions that we've shot like 7 days, for music videos. I should be okay. I think I'll be all right.
Well, I'm definitely excited for you, and I'm looking forward to seeing your work come
You.
forward and that Black girl magic that you bring into everything that you do.
I appreciate it. I'm excited.
Absolutely. Now, you wrote a memoir, Here I Stand. And
Yes.
in that memoir, you open up about your childhood and losing your first love. And you also share details of your own brush with death, as well as the heartbreak you endured after losing your dear son, 11-year-old Kyle.
Mhm.
What strategies or ways have you found most helpful in balancing the demands of motherhood with the challenges of dealing with deep personal tragedies?
There's obviously no manual or book that can really walk you through how to deal with such a loss or that level of grief. Um, I'll say you have to pause, and you have to administer a lot of self-care.
Mhm,
So I sat in solace a lot. Meditation really helped me, like sitting just in a quiet, like even to this day, I don't watch a lot of television because I just have to have silence. Like when my kids are at school, like now, it's very quiet.
mhm,
That's how I really operate, because you have to be alone with your thoughts. Um, with losing Kyle, there's no way to really ever get over it, but you do learn to live around it. It's a pain that always, I wake up in the morning and I'll cry my eyes out before I start my day. But
mhm.
I think it's healthy. It's healthy to cry. It clears your mind, it clears your tear ducts, and it makes you see more clearly. It makes you be able to kind of, charge and take on the day. Um, I balance I balance my emotions and being a mother, because I have to be strong for my boys,
Mhm.
be like melting down every day, all day, like just, they're like, this mom is a twig. She can't handle anything. So no, I let them see that I'm hurting, like, his birthday or the anniversary of his passing. But I try to keep my head up and tell them that life does go on. And
Mhm.
owe it to him to live out loud and live big. So I travel a lot. I do things that are self-care related. Like when my boys, I have a joint custody situation. When my boys are with their father, I get out of town. I try to if I can. I don't care if it's next door to I don't care the next city over. I'd be like, I'm going somewhere to find me a little day trip for myself because I do have to do things to clear the air and keep my head together.
I love that because a lot of times as Black women, I know I saw my mother and my grandmother doing it all. I don't know how they did it, right? Taking care of all of us, doing hair. I mean, just the whole nine and going out working.
There's
And
nothing like, honey, there's nobody on the planet like we mothers.
absolutely, and particularly Black mothers.
I know. That's right.
I mean, it's absolutely incredible. But I'm glad you are practicing self-care, such as, like you said, meditation. I know that there's work for me. And then also taking trips and just getting away and clearing your head and being conscious about that, right? Knowing what you need and listening to your body, listening to your mind and taking the steps as opposed to just keep going,
Yeah.
as if nothing is happening in your
You
world.
can't muscle through it. You have to take pauses and resets.
Mhm.
You just need them first because you can't, if you're not healthy mentally and spiritually, you can't be there for your kids and you can't be,
Mhm.
well rounded as you need to be, for everything else that your clients, your kids, etc.
Mhm. It
Yeah.
reminds me of when you're traveling on a plane and they say, in the event of an emergency, put your own mask on first.
Even though I never did like that, but it's
Right.
true.
Now you get it though, right?
I,
Like you
I,
said, if
end,
you can't.
I would do my kids first still.
But I get it though,
I'm
because
passing
as
out.
a mom, you're gonna do what you gotta do, for
Right.
your kids, but you have to be alert in order to be able to help your kids.
Right.
You know? So seems counterintuitive, but that's how I feel about what you're sharing about self-care. You're right. You're taking care of you first so that you can take care of your boys and make sure that they're healthy.
That's
And I
right.
think that's just a powerful example. Now, when
Hmm.
you are facing troubling times, do you talk to your children about what's going on? And then what do you think helps them deal with the issues that they might be experiencing or make an adjustment?
I am very vocal about everything. I'd say, I'm not like a Stepford mom or a Stepford wife, where I'm perfect. I talk to my kids somewhat almost as if they're my friends without, I don't let them swear or anything like that in front of me. But meaning we have a very open dialogue and I'll just be like, I'm having a hard time right now. I'm dealing with, whatever it may be. I'll tell them what I'm dealing with for the most part. I don't involve them in like grown folk stuff, but I talk to them about how I'm feeling emotionally about different things, especially the loss of their brother.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And you
Yep.
think that helps them process things and
I,
deal with their own emotions as opposed to burying their emotions?
yeah, they don't bury their emotions. One thing that I'd like to think that they're pretty expressive.
Mhm.
Yeah, they are.
What kind of support or resources have been most helpful to you during difficult times, like friends, family, therapy, traveling? What would you say has been the most helpful?
I wouldn't say family. And I only say that because I love my family, but I don't know. I don't know if they can really internalize what it's like, to lose a child. Interesting. Well, I remember when my grandmother was alive, one of my uncles passed, and she's from the South, so she was very, very stern about everything, and she lived in her Bible, so she'd be like, "You don't question God." And God brought him to me and he took him away, and that is what God's will. And
Mhm.
I, God, you're so tough, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
So when I say my family doesn't understand, I think they all kind of have that mindset. But I'd say that travel helped me a lot because it helped me to go to other regions of the world and see how they dealt with it, how they
Mhm.
dealt with death, how they, I don't know. I think it was just good to see how different cultures, celebrated the dead. They celebrated the Day of the Dead and stuff like that.
Mhm.
So I say travel was good. I prayed a lot though, being spiritual and talking to God. I talk to social media a lot. I mean, people think social media is bad, but I found a lot of people that were like-minded and had similar stories. I say, as much as I hate social media, it's a double-edged sword.
Mhm.
Hate the ratchet debauchery of it, but there were some really positive things that came out of it, and I made connections with people that went through the same thing.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, social media can be a powerful tool for
Mhm.
forming community, for getting support, for being affirmed, and also affirming others,
Mhm.
right? So women will look at you and they feel like, look, you have it all. You know,
Mhm.
you are in some incredible circles. You have reached the pinnacle of success in many, many ways. And it's easy to forget that you're human in terms of the struggles that you have to deal with, the grief that you carry, and having to navigate all those things and trying to find a way to keep a smile on your face. So for women to see that and see you being vulnerable, I believe that that helps women get through the trials and tribulations and difficulties that they're facing. And it's
Mhm.
also a nice counter to all the glitz and glamour that you sometimes see on social media that can give people a false sense of reality and cause them to feel depressed if they're not living that same lifestyle. You know
Oh,
what I'm
wow.
saying?
Yeah, yeah, but that's so many imposters on social media. I hope everybody knows that that's I mean, because think about it, we basically post a highlight reel. You know what
Mhm,
I'm saying? When you look at social media, even myself, I'm guilty of it. If I'm posting, I'm usually posting happier times. They
mhm,
don't see my lows, they don't see when I'm sitting here crying my eyes out, hair mangled,
mhm.
we going to what is up bad. They
Right.
don't see when the dark circles have kicked in, and no, that really happens, and that's my real life. That's my reality. Everyone shows a highlight reel of themselves on social media. I think we don't want to show our lowest points, because then it
Mhm.
gets vulnerable and it gets too personal.
Right.
I will say that as far as forming community, I did when my son passed. I got lots of DMs and messages from people that lost their children. I connected with Trayvon Martin's mother, Sabrina Fulton, love her, and other moms and mothers that have also, experienced the same or similar tragedies, losing like young children.
Mhm.
I found it to be helpful.
That's beautiful. I'm
Yeah,
glad that you found a sense of community and
yeah,
just be reminded that you're not alone, right?
yeah.
God is with you, that there are people who love you, surrounding you, sending you care. That's a beautiful thing.
It's a very lonely feeling too when you go through anything really rough, be it a divorce, which is like a death, very similar, and then actual death. You do feel alone, even when you're in crowded rooms. You oftentimes feel like no one understands what I'm feeling, and there are people that have, obviously gone through the same thing. So
Mhm.
good to have community and not feel alone.
Absolutely. So you're a mother of 5 sons. That blows my mind. I have 1 son and
Absolutely.
so and 3 daughters. So to think about you raising 5 sons, I'm blown away by that. As you're raising your sons, what does that mean to you as a Black mother, and any fears associated with raising your sons in the United States, knowing what's happened historically? I think about Emmett Till. I even think about what happened recently with Ralph Yarl, 16-year-old Black boy in Kansas City, Missouri, rings the wrong doorbell and winds up being shot twice by an armed white man.
Mhm.
Um, folks protesting and trying to get justice, which they shouldn't have to do, right? But every time my son leaves the house, I'm always, okay, where are you going? Who are you with? What time are you coming back? I feel like a helicopter mom.
Oh, I'm a helicopter mom, and I have locations on all of my children. I
Mhm,
also want to thank you for always acknowledging Kyle, saying I have 5 sons, because
mhm,
when people speak of me as a mother, they always say, "Oh, you have 4 kids." And I'm like, "No, one is in heaven, but he's
mhm.
still very much my son, very much my son to the end of my life. He'll be my son." So thank you for acknowledging him. Um, I'm a helicopter mom for sure. I locate my son is 32 years old. His location's on my phone. My son is in law school at Penn. His location is on my phone. And of course, my 2 younger, and Kyle's location is always in my heart and on my phone. So
Yes,
I
that's
am
beautiful.
I'm definitely a helicopter mom. it's real scary and trying times. You don't even know what to tell your children to do now. When it comes to the police, you're like, okay, listen to what they say, follow what they tell you, rate, put your hands up, don't argue, just get their name, so we can handle it later. Live to come and let me fight for you.
Mhm.
But in the case of Jarl, his situation is ridiculous. Him ringing the wrong doorbell.
Right.
Like, the Jarl case is one of the saddest things I've ever heard. Because what do you tell your kid to do? Don't ring the wrong doorbell. That's a mistake. You, you
Right.
even you can't even justify this. I can't even wrap my mind. It's such a recent crime. It's just so sad. I don't even know what to say. But I did tell my sons about it. I don't even know what advice to give them on that. You run out of, ideas. I don't even know what you say. Hey, be careful when you ring a doorbell.
Right. Shouldn't have to tell your son that. I know at one point my son asked if he and another friend could go sell candy. I'm like, absolutely not. You're not knocking on people's doors, not in this climate, as two young men of color, and having all the assumptions, the racism, the white supremacy show up at the door with you, and
Yeah.
you're completely innocent.
Yeah. Door to door is not it right now.
No.
Ain't even a good time to be a Jehovah's Witness, child. You can't go door to door bothering about nothing. No
Right.
candy, trick or treat, nothing else. You don't know what. It's just not cool out here.
Mhm. Especially in this climate where folks will go and storm the US Capitol without any
But
regard. If they'll do that, they'll do anything, right? So I think knowing that it's important for us as moms to do our best to converse with our kids about these issues, making sure they understand the climate and that they're walking in as not mama's baby, but they're walking in as a Black boy or a Black man and
right,
all the implications of that. And I
yeah,
feel bad, honestly, when I have to have the talk with my son, about police, about going to certain places, because I feel like, part of his childhood is being taken away. At the same time, it's important for him to grow up and become an adult man in a society that's often very hostile to Black people and especially Black boys and Black men.
100%.
Have you personally had to deal with racism, police encounters, things like that that have had an impact on you or on the lives of your or in the lives of your sons?
I had one experience. It always comes to the front of my mind. My son, who's now, he graduated Ivy League grad. I'm proud of him. My son Ryan.
Congratulations.
And he's in law school. He finishes actually on the May 15th is his graduation, or 16th. Graduating from law school at the University of Pennsylvania. We have a master's in law. But I remember he was 16 and he just had his learner's permit and
Mhm.
his driver's license. So I would let him drive me. We would get off the highway and I'd let him drive me home from there just so I can kind of teach him before he got ready to take his final test. And he was just leaving a football game. So he had on his uniform still.
Mhm.
And we were driving right down on our street. There was a long road in Roswell. This when we still lived in Roswell. So he's driving straight down. I said, okay, now don't veer to the right. Keep straight, keep straight. You're doing good. You're doing really good. And then when you get to the gate, put your blinker on so you can turn into our subdivision. The police siren went off. Woo. So I'm like, what did he do? I mean, he's driving too slow, if anything. So
Mhm.
I said, problem, keep your hands on the steering wheel when the officer comes, because I know you can't be fidgeting because they're trigger happy, right?
Mhm.
So he gets, and I said, officer, I'm his mother. What did my son do? Well, he was failed to maintain the lane. Now I was in the car with him and teaching him. I said, well, I'm teaching him to drive. He just drove from the corner to our gate, which we could see the guardhouse right in our subdivision. And he was just kind of rude and, step out the car and talking to him all rough.
Mm-mm.
I wrote a letter to the captain of the department in Roswell and I explained who he was. I said, this is an honor roll student. He is the quarterback of the Woolworth Academy football team.
Mm.
You know, upstanding citizen. He's never been in trouble a day in his life. He doesn't smoke, drink, or eat cheese or chocolate. Like, this is a very disciplined child. You got the wrong one.
Mhm.
And I'm just insulted that you guys intimidated my son that way, just pulling him over as just a random, just kind of picked him out. He driving a Mercedes down the street. So let's bother the black family.
Mhm.
I did, and the captain asked for him to come in. He wanted to meet him. My son didn't even want to go. He was like, no, I'm cool. I'm mad. He didn't like it. And that always, it's sad. We're in sad times. Yeah, you got people out here really doing bad things that don't get pulled over.
Mhm. That's
Right.
true.
Doing real stuff. My son is leaving practice, leaving a game, gets pulled over for going down the street.
That's ridiculous. I'm grateful you were in the car with him
Oh my goodness.
at that time,
They would,
because in many ways you were teaching him a lesson about driving while black in
Mhm.
America
Yeah,
and seeing what can happen. And the fact that he had that experience with you first, saw how you handled it,
yeah,
it gave him insight for, future potential encounters, God forbid. But
yep.
we know that sadly they like to pull people over. But I'm grateful that you were in the car with your son
But
during
I
that time.
will tell them, keep your hands where the guy, this police officer can see. Don't give them an excuse. Don't
Mhm.
fidgeting for your license. Don't start rumbling the glove compartment for the, registration and insurance. You kind of got to, because you don't want to give them a reason to say, oh,
Right.
he was moving around. We were fearful for our life. They sometimes shoot with no reason. So
Right.
don't,
Like Orlando Castile. That's what
yeah,
happened to him here in the Twin Cities.
yeah, I heard about that. Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, no fidgeting. That's all I say is try to be as still as possible. Cause even
Mhm.
then still can shoot you. But yeah, it happened when he was about 16. Fortunately he's 23 now, but he will never forget that encounter with the police. And he got away with no ticket or anything. But I was so mad. I wrote a very detailed letter using the officer's name.
Mhm.
And I think you should handle it. You speak with them and you tell them like, nah, y'all profiled this man.
Well, I'm glad that you took action after the fact and didn't just let it slide.
No.
Because at a minimum, it signals to the department you need to monitor this person's behavior,
Yeah.
potentially pull them off the beat near where you live and put someone on who is more respectful, more inclusive, and
Right.
not mean and nasty, unnecessarily. And who knows how many lives you saved by even signaling to them that there was a problem with that particular officer.
That's right. That's what I did.
Well,
And
I
yeah,
commend you for
fun.
that.
Mhm. Mhm.
Now you're a very active mother. We see you traveling to
Mhm.
support your son Ryan in his football career, his college life. You also started an international foundation for Kyle.
Mhm.
Uh, you also travel the world with your sons. What are some other fun things you do as a boy mom to bond with your sons?
You name it. Like I have one son, my youngest, well, he's 13 now. But what I do is he's 14. I'm sorry. He would get me saying his age. 14, give me all my years. No, but he loves Apple products. He's like a little young Steve Jobs, like Kyle was. So yesterday, we went to an Apple class where they were teaching you like iPhone tricks. He was sitting there like, I know all this stuff. I know. I said, you don't know everything. You can learn, but it's just good to show bonding and show them that you into what they're into.
Mhm.
So I took some time of the class is 30 minutes. We just went, we signed up, we sat down and just listened to the tutorial about the phone and how to use the iPhone when you're traveling and iPhone photography, how to store your pictures and create different folders and stuff. So I
Mhm.
one-on-one things that they like, concerts, their music, I say, but
You definitely a boy mom, 'cause I'm like, "What are they talking about on
even
music?"
all that they don't even have words, it's just mumble rap. But I'll go to a concert, I like the beats, so I'll bob my head to it till I realize they're saying all the wrong so I'm like, "Did they just" so, but I try to have fun with them, and I let them have their friends over and, I do whatever they kinda like to do.
That is beautiful. I can tell you really relish and embrace the role and
I
just doing all you can to, like, pour into your boys while they're around you. I
I
mean,
don't
that's just beautiful.
I don't know life before being a mom, and I'm a boy mom, so I've been a mom since I was 19. I got pregnant when I was 18. I had my son at 19. I was young. So I was a single mom at a very early age. So it's kind of all I know. I've been a mother longer than I haven't been, since I was so young. Um, I wouldn't change a thing. I love it,
That's
except for
incredible.
a while back. But I know that the approach I take with death now is that I think we all have time to be on earth. Our lives are predestined. We have a contract. We all have a contract. We have a contract to fulfill. We have a certain amount of time that we are meant to be here.
Mhm.
Only thing I hate is that God won't give us a hint of how long. We just wish I knew. I wish we knew
Mhm.
because then we could prepare for it. But um, I feel that I don't know. I just think that I approach life and everything differently. You got to really live out loud. You got to really be an example. You,
Mhm.
what do you want your legacy to be? And
Mhm.
I hope that I'm known for being a great mother. I hope
Mhm.
I'm being a very involved mother. I hope I'm known for having great style. There's things just about my life that I hope if I haven't made any other impact. And I hope overall, no matter what, I got a smart mouth. I'm snarky. I'm not perfect, but I hope that people at the end of the day will say that's a good person.
Mhm.
Knowing if she's a good person, she's not no snake. She's
Mhm.
not. She won't say anything behind your back that she wouldn't say in front of you.
Mhm.
She's who she is. You got to take her or leave her, but what you see is what you get. And
Mhm.
my authenticity shows with people, around the world. I wrote my memoir because I said I wanted my life to be told in my words. I don't want anybody else eulogizing me and saying she was this way or she did this because of. I tried to go through as many stories as I could in my book to tell my version and tell the truth about what happened in my life. It may be a little premature that I wrote a memoir because I'm only in my 50s, but hey, you never know what life has to offer. So I sure did write it.
I commend you for taking the
And
time to write, to process, and just
it-
to share with the world.
it's
It
hard.
is hard. It is. I wrote a children's book and I felt like it was hard.
I have,
Compared to a memoir, I'm just blown away that you were able to just set your mind, set your intentions, and do it.
yeah, no, it was
Proud.
hard. And then as far as I wanted to say something that I didn't say for Kyle's Worlds Foundation, right? My son, Kyle, people always say, you're always doing stuff for the foundation. Why? Even my kids ask. I said, if Kyle were still alive, he was 11 when he passed. If Kyle were still alive, I'd be running around doing prom and getting, and going to this thing or going to parent teacher conferences or getting him ready for graduation. So in
Mhm.
my mind, I'm still as active as I would be if he were alive. I
Mhm.
still to him the money I spend on the foundation. If he were alive, I'd be spending money. I probably would have bought him a car or done something with, because he would have been over 16. So yeah, Kyle's world and Kyle is still very active in my heart and in my mind. I'm not delusional. I don't think he's still here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
In a physical sense, I'm not like a
Right.
crit, but I am very active. I'm not letting his legacy pass because of some ridiculous accident. You know,
Right.
yeah, I don't, yeah, no, I don't see it that way. So if God forbid, if anything should happen to any of my children, I would be the same way as active and as dedicated to keeping their legacy alive for sure.
Well, that's powerful that you made a decision that you're going to keep that same energy and pour into other children and
Yes.
other folks around the community, around the country, around the world as a part of your son's legacy as well as your legacy. Now, as we conclude, I just want to say being a mom, as you know, is one of the best and also at times the most challenging things that we can do in our lives. What
Most
is
challenging,
one
right.
huh?
Most challenging is right.
Absolutely. So what's one lesson that you hope that your sons have learned from you?
I hope that my kids know to always remain in a beautiful state. I feel that there are two states of being. You have two.
Mhm.
You can be in a state of suffering or you can be in a beautiful state. I try to remain in a beautiful state. That
Mhm.
doesn't mean I don't get rattled and I won't tell somebody off. I'll
Mhm.
check. quick as lightning. But I remain in a beautiful state because things will upset you in life. You're gonna hit obstacles. You're gonna have your rough patches, but it's how you respond. It's how
Mhm.
you react. Sometimes you got to take a beat. They call it a pregnancy pause. You got to stop, then respond.
Mhm.
You know what I So
Yeah.
I hope that kids learn to implement that in their lives. I hope that they don't become emotional and be like these other hothead kids out here running around with guns and, hurting people and these hot, crazy police officers that are trigger happy. I hope they learn to take a beat and remain in a beautiful state. Keep
Mhm.
your state of mind in the right place.
That's beautiful. Thank you so much for
You,
joining me today on Justice and Power podcast. You are a
yes.
beautiful woman with a beautiful spirit.
Thank
And
you.
I just so appreciate your openness, your vulnerability, and your truth telling, right? Your
Thank you.
authenticity shines through and through and through again and again. So
Thank
thank
you
you so
so much.
much.
And please tell your listeners my audiobook will be released very soon, probably in 2 weeks or so. It's the Here I Stand audiobook. So it's
Uh-huh.
a immersive audiobook that's going to be very cool when you hear it. But you'll be able to hear me. I'm narrating it myself and I'm reading the book, Here I Stand.
That sounds phenomenal. Where can they access your audiobook when it's made
It'll be
available?
all platforms. So I know you'll be able to get it on Audible and Apple Music and all the Apple books and everything like that. Yeah.
Wonderful. I'm encouraging folks in about 2 weeks. Look for Tameka Foster Raymond's audiobook for Here I Stand. You just heard a lot of wonderful nuggets that she was able to drop today on the show. And imagine hearing her story in her own words through her audiobook, Here I Stand. So please support this sister. You all have just gotten a glimpse of how beautiful she is inside and out. Thank you again, Tameka, for taking the time to join me today on Justice and Power Podcast.
Thank you for having me. It was really good talking to you.
It was a blessing talking to you. Anytime, any way we can support your work, we would love to.
I
Thank you.
appreciate. Thank you. Thank you.